we need to understand as investors that investing is not the process of speculating on housing prices. That's what a lot of people think it is, but that's not what it is. Income property is this beautiful multidimensional asset. It's the most historically proven asset class in the entire world. It's the most tax-favored asset class in America, and taxes are the largest expense in any of our lives, mostly. We really make our money from return on investment, from yield. Okay. If the price goes up and we're in a capital appreciation market, hey, great. Michael, we can spend it as well as the next guy. Okay. And that's wonderful when it happens, but it's not our expectation. So we really should be talking about income, yield, and rent, right? Rather than prices. But everybody wants to talk about prices because that's what they're obsessed with. So that's what we'll talk about. Okay. So that said, here's the one ingredient that you must have, that you cannot have a crash without this one ingredient, and that is millions of distressed sellers. Without that, you're never going to have your crash.
It's a supply. It's absolutely right. It's a supply phenomenon. And when I think about the crash bros, the doomers, I have two thoughts.
The fear porn people. Yeah.
Yeah, fear porn. I actually have two profiles. One, it is their side hustle. I think some of these folks don't believe half the things they say. But when they put out a tweet about Airbnb bust or this or that factually incorrect thing, it gets a lot of the feed, and then they get paid by X or paid by YouTube. So I think there's a lot of intellectually dishonest folks who are doing it to get paid.
I'm glad you said it because someone had to say it. The people who are doing all of this clickbait, and it works. And, I'm trying to do it a little more. I guess I'm selling a little bit of my integrity too, but I really got to criticize them because they're just full of it. They don't believe half the stuff they're saying. Their arguments are half baked. And this clickbait, it really lacks integrity. It's a bait and switch, right?
My honest belief is it works in the short term, but it doesn't work a long term. So they might win the sprint, but they're going to lose the marathon.
Well, yeah, I'd like to believe that, but I don't know. Some of these people, year after year after year, it just goes on. And, I'll use maybe one of the more famous examples. I'm going to use Peter Schiff as my example. Yeah. Okay. He has been predicting the end of the world for as long as I've been following him. And I started following him in the early 2000s. So it's been
me too.
It's been about 20 years. Okay.
Me too.
And, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So all of these people, if they just say all this stuff, they're going to be right because there's going to be cycles. There will be corrections. That's just the way things work. I mean, look, there's always going to be cycles of ebb and flow, correction, even to the point of crash, right? Are we going to have another real estate crash? The answer is yes. Is it going to be anytime soon? The answer is probably not. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, here's the second category, and this one I give them a little slack for. A lot of the folks predicting crash come of age in the last crash, actually in the housing crash, right? If you're 32 or 33, you are old enough to remember your family or your friends or your neighborhood struggling, losing homes, foreclosures.
Yeah.
So to you, every recession, every down cycle means housing has to crash.
Right.
Now, shame on you for being lazy because there's 100 years of data out there you can go look at.
Right.
But in a world of short-sightedness, in a world where people often fight the last war when it's not going to work this time, I kind of get it. But if you're looking to make moves, you should really study more than one recession.
Yeah.
And that's just where we are, I think, today.
Yeah, that's a very good point you make. And I love what you just said about people fighting the last war. They basically are living in this sort of post-traumatic stress disorder, right? They think that's the way every recession will be. Now, I've been doing this for decades, and I've lived through a lot of recessions. I got my real estate license when I was 19 years old in my first year of college. And so I have seen the ebbs and the flows, and there are always cycles. That's just the nature of the economy. Any market has cycles to it. But 2007, 2008, that was a once in 7 decades cycle. Okay. Almost 8 decades, really. So are we going to see that again in our lifetime? It won't be exactly that flavor, but there will definitely be times of economic distress. You could argue that we're in one now. Even with
You could.
unemployment being super low, a huge segment of the population is struggling. So we are seeing this wealth concentration effect, and it's fragmented. So you can't paint things with like a broad brush, it just doesn't work.
So to get back to kind of question one of this housing crash, we haven't had one yet because again, if you're not aware, active inventory is roughly 600,000 units. 2019, we were about 1.4 million active listings.
You're using NAR stats. Yeah.
Correct. Roughly.
Okay. Yep.
And if you go back to kind of the last crash, we had over 4 million. Right. So just in case you don't know math, 500,000 or 600,000 is about 15% of 4 million.
Right.
So we don't have the ingredient for a housing crash. So that's step one. So step two of this road to a housing crash is, do you see over the next 6, 9, 12 months, so kind of a short time frame, anything that could really spark waves of supply coming?
Most people that are arguing with me about my fairly bullish outlook, okay, are arguing, Jason, you're mistaken because the elephant in the room is unemployment. We are going to see massive layoffs, massive unemployment. And look, we had some overstaffed, overfunded tech companies that have laid people off. But in terms of the overall labor market, that's like a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. This is a nothing burger, although the media loves to report it. Facebook's laying off 8,000 people, et cetera, et cetera. All of it, what we have to understand is compared to what? These companies were overfunded, overstaffed, illogical, stupid companies. Okay. The vast majority of the tech world is completely illogical. Look, Michael, your business and my business, you know what our businesses have that's unique, unlike tech companies? We make money. We actually make profit. Like, why don't venture capitalists rush to my door and say they want to give me $40 million, right? Because, they're just in love with these tech companies, and you stick a tech label on anything and it's going to just sell for more, right?
But now the tech label is AI. Just say you have something in AI and you're going to get overfunded. So you're absolutely
right.
AI.
I'm going to re-register all my domain names instead of .com. They're going to be .ai. Yeah.
There you go.
Then I'll be a tech company. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.